Hi. So this summer, I am doing 7 weeks of sea turtle research, which is crazy, and I can't believe I just spat that out, but I am working with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, and I am participating in something so amazing, and it's honestly an honor and a privilege. I figured I would make videos about this, chronicling every week, just because I have been receiving a lot of questions, mostly, what are you doing? But I definitely wanted to open this up and share this pretty unique experience with my friends, my family, and anybody else who's really curious about something like this. In comparison to where I live, South Carolina is about a 12-hour drive, but it wasn't too bad. I went down with my dad, and we did kind of like this world tour kind of thing. So we visited a couple of his friends. It was mostly just in the Carolinas. We did it over the course of 2 days, which definitely was helpful. Exploring definitely helped me get a better feel for the area and what I'm going to be looking at for the next 47 days. So I made it, and what a crazy place. I'm living on an island. I have my own room. Here's a little MTV Cribs moment. Hopped up at the bed, turned my swag on, took a look in the mirror, said what's up, what's up. Crazy, right? Didn't really expect to be living on an island, but that's my reality, and that's insane. I looked to make this house a home, and I think I did a pretty good job doing so. And then I met my coworkers, and then I was off to training. My first day, well, this is kind of technically like day 0, I guess. I actually did some boat training, and if you know a little bit about me, big vehicles are a little scary for me. I am 5'3" and have a nose ring, so it's definitely a daunting task, but it was pretty easy. I mean, not easy, but not super scary. We learned how to drive the little John boats, and then also like a ferry kind of like pontoon thing. I think I'm more scared of the bigger boat than the smaller one. I feel like there's a lot more control with the smaller one, but it wasn't the worst. Definitely going to need to practice that a little more in the coming future, but kind of crazy to conceive that I can drive a boat now. What's that about? So, let's answer the question, what am I doing here? It is a 5-day on, 2-day off kind of program, and on those 5 days on, I wake up at 4:45 in the morning, which is such a treat, and we leave the house by 5:15. And then we're off. So we drive the truck down to where the ATVs are located, which new vehicle just dropped, ATV. I know it's not as exciting as the boats, but still new to me and worth the mention. And then we take the ATVs for a 40-minute drive, which means you have to have at least 2 to 3 hours worth of music. And then since Spotify does such a terrible job shuffling the songs, you might even need more than that. So after the 40-minute drive, which is super scenic and so awesome, we make it to the beach access, and then we start our patrol. The patrol mostly entails driving very slowly on the ATVs and taking a look for Loggerhead tracks. We take a look around, and when we find those tracks, we kind of almost have to play detective and see what happened. So sometimes what happens is the sea turtle, she takes a look around and she says, I'm not nesting here. And she does this kind of U-turn thing, and that's called a false crawl. Sometimes with false crawls, it's really difficult to tell whether or not there is a egg chamber there or not. So that's where probing comes in. If there is kind of like these body pit things, they're normally very defined, and it almost just looks like she tossed a whole bunch of sand around to cover up her eggs, which is exactly what she did. When a body pit is located, what we do is we grab probes. We have 2 metal ones, 1 wooden one. I personally prefer the metal one, but I'm definitely still learning how to use it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but we take the probes, and what we do is we kind of look around for soft, fluffy sand and take a guess as to where her cloaca was and where she deposited her eggs. With where she deposited her eggs, there's this egg chamber kind of thing, which is almost like this mushroom shape, where she like goes like this with her hand and she creates like this little gully where she can put her little babies. What was really crazy the first time I was able to see an egg chamber was the eggs are just like ping pong balls. So I just found my first nest. This is the egg. Kind of looks like a ping pong ball, but yeah, nest 114. That's on me, baby. They have more of like this leathery kind of texture to it, which is really cool. So with finding a nest, we kind of sacrifice one of the eggs for science and research. Like rest in peace, pour one out. It depends on the location, but sometimes we either leave them in situ, which means we leave them be and let them develop where they're at, or we have to relocate them, which is a very time-consuming and you have to be like super careful kind of task. It was definitely a little hard for me to understand what I was looking for at first, as this is my first time doing something like this, but I feel like with enough practice it will get easier. I definitely plan to show a little more of the relocation process in the coming weeks. So when we locate where the nest or the false crawl is, we take a coordinate and we sometimes save it, but if it's a false, we don't save it, we just write it down in our funny little Write in the Rain. This is an unofficial sponsor for Write in the Rain notebooks. They're actually maybe the best thing man has conceived. We drive back to the office afterwards and we just enter data, which is really cool. The program we use to enter data is called seaturtle.org. It is available for anybody to kind of take a look at some data, but you need like certain permissions from whichever organization you're working for to take a closer look at the data, and there are just certain features that you can't reach if you're just viewing it. It's a super helpful program. It's a little slow because it is a little outdated, but I have used so much worse, so I won't complain too much. You may be like, Amanda, please tell me more about the Loggerhead sea turtle. And to that, I pass this off to Amanda. Thanks, Amanda. Hi. Welcome to a segment I like to call Creature of the Week. I'm going to be looking at different creatures that are down here. Every week I'm here and giving some fun little facts about them, just so you can learn more about what's going on down here. This week's Creature of the Week is the Loggerhead sea turtle. Its scientific name is Caretta caretta. The reason they are called Loggerhead sea turtles is because of their comically large head, which also ties into their jaws, which are extremely strong, making it very easy for them to be generalists, so they can eat a lot of shellfish and things that have very tough shells to crack on them. They really like to get anything that they can, put in their mouth, and unfortunately sometimes that is plastic balloons. When describing them physically, the top of their shell is almost like heart-shaped, and it is brown in color, and then the bottom of their shell is more of a pale yellow. They have very interesting scale patterns on their head. Their scale patterns are different from each turtle that you see, which is super awesome and cool. Their global distribution is extremely wide. Here is a visual of how wide it is. They are recognized by the IUCN Red List as being vulnerable, but not critically endangered or anything like that. They are of concern. Big contributors to that is bycatch, as well as climate change, and additionally just harvesting of the eggs. Unfortunately, the eggs are just so delicious to natural predators, especially ghost crabs, which we are not friends, but it's going to be a little scary to kind of open up those egg chambers to see what's in there, especially considering the fact that predation goes crazy. But luckily it's not too bad yet, so hopefully I can make a difference and maybe, make the population increase a little bit, but that's so far-fetched. They can live for up to 80 years, which is super awesome just because that's crazy, and their sexual maturity is at 35. So many of the moms that are on shore and laying their eggs are a decade older than me, but so baby girl, you know what I mean? Every 2 to 3 years, they return to the beach where they lay their eggs. It's pretty much like a pattern. They actually remember the beach that they lay their eggs on, and they go in this trance-like state. They lay their eggs, cover them up, and then get going. The 2 to 3 years can explain why some years have this really big surge of nests and other years do not. I'm not sure what this year is going to hold for us nest-wise. I'm hoping it'll be a little more abundant. So they experience TSD, which is temperature sex determination. The way their TSD works is it is cool males and hot females, so depending on where they are on the beach as well as the temperatures for the year, it determines what their sex is going to be. But the species is super awesome. I'm super excited to get to know more about them, and I'm hoping to see them. But I hope you learned a little something about them, and if you're interested in learning more, check out the internet or just ask me questions. Thanks, Amanda. Back to you. Thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing all of that awesome information about Caretta caretta. I hope you learned a little something about the species and kind of get a better understanding as to what I'm looking for and what they look like. Super interesting, right? Like, oh, I know. So, after the creature of the week, I kind of wanted to wind down with some takeaways from my first week here. Practice makes perfect, which I know is something that kind of sounds super cliche, but you're not instantly going to be good at everything the first time you try it. On occasion you are, and that goes crazy, but for some of these things, like looking to find tracks and locate body pits and figure out where the egg chamber is, like you're not really going to be great at it the first time you do it ever, because there are a lot of steps that go into it. Another thing is, it's alright to make mistakes. Mistakes are a part of the human condition, and obviously within reason, but it's okay to make mistakes and learn from them. It's important to recognize maybe what you did wrong in this situation, grow from it, and know that's how it's supposed to be in the future. My final takeaway is, the world is kind of a big, scary place, and doing something nobody around you has ever done before and going someplace you've never been before is scary, but it's important to take 10 deep breaths and remember that you are here for a reason, in some kind of cosmic way, but it will end up being okay. You will find people that you enjoy to spend time with. I love my coworkers, and things will make sense and ease out. And those are my takeaways. Thanks for watching the first week. I really super appreciate it. I hope you're excited to see more content kind of like this, and I'm excited for the coming weeks. Okay, bye.